No, no, that's not it. This feels completely different from the black dragon. First things first, I'll take this up to the 99th floor. Now that we've certainly figured out that greed is targeting PUU, we need absolute protection from the black dragon. Just hearing that was enough to tell that things were getting serious. A Grand Archmage, the head of the Magic Tower, was facing something beyond her power and needed the Black Dragon's protection. Elka, the chief of the Silver Wolf clan, realized more than ever that restoring the Red Ribbon Kingdom was becoming a necessity. Hegel agreed. This is the time for us Wolf Tribe to join forces and help. Just then, an agent approached. Lord Iona, we've captured 2 suspicious individuals downstairs. With that, the agent dragged in 2 squirming figures, wriggling like drowning worms in salt water. Knowing full well they had no chance of escaping, the duo still struggled fiercely, insisting they had nothing to do with Tarek. I told you I'm not. Don't know Tarek at all, one of them blurted. Yeah, we were just loitering around, the other added. They kept yapping away until they noticed who was standing in the room. Theo. The orange cat stared at them in silence. No words, no expression. Yet it was enough to make both Meryl and Scarum break into a cold sweat. One was a scammer who had tricked him. The other was a woman who had dumped him. Then, when she couldn't get him back, turned around and schemed against his lover. Looking at the two of them, Theo suddenly found it hilarious. You two, come with me to the 99th floor. Naya! The 99th floor was as busy as ever. The golden flowers of the cherry tomato fields were in full bloom, and bees buzzed around, busily gathering nectar. The rabbit folk, when not pruning, were diligently watering the plants. Almost everyone was working hard. If not working, then at least chewing hard. Like Aileen, for example, the dragon who was happily nibbling on a tiny sweet honey jelly. Oh wow, this is delicious. Honey jelly made from peanut flowers has a slightly nutty and savory flavor, unlike cherry tomato honey jelly. Aileen was praising it for Seijin, who was currently checking on the peanut plants that were in full bloom, filling the air with a pleasant fragrance. Glad you like it. It's about time to harvest the peanuts too. We can boil it, can eat it, you can do all sorts of things with it. It looked like Seijin was already thinking about all the ways he could use the peanuts. But hey, Seijin, aren't you worried at all? Your cat friend is in danger. Is it really all right for you to be eating leisurely like this? Seijin smiled. I just focus on what I can do right now. Worrying won't solve anything, right? And besides, I have a plan too. Seeing the serious look on Seijin's face, Aileen grew curious and urged him to spill the details. If I can help, I'll do everything I can. Thanks, but for now, we have to wait for Theo to return. No rushing things. Want some more honey jelly? Of course, that question earned an enthusiastic nod from Aileen. But before that, a notification popped up in front of Seijin. Tenant Farmers has created a 100 pyong cherry tomato field. You have gained protecting the field. His excitement was pure and innocent. Unlike the black rabbit, though, just look at his face. Did he look happy? Not one bit. I must become a guard on top of being a tenant farmer? Suddenly, a little white rabbit that had popped up from the cave, bringing a message for Seijin. Uncle, Flame is calling for you. Hearing it, he stopped in his tracks. Flame is calling for me now? It had been a while since they last went back to the cave. The entire area had been turned into farmland, stretching as far as possible, except for the edges of the cave where sunlight never reached. Seijun and his 2 brand new guards went down to meet Flame. The tiny little spirit hadn't grown a bit, still as small as a piece of candy. The only thing that had grown was her apple tree. The little girl pointed at a seed resting on a small cushion. The final purification is done. The seed of the Ent, once pitch black, had now turned a soft, shiny pink, looking absolutely stunning. The system recognized it as a purified Ent's enhanced seed. The seed of a corrupted Ent that absorbed the energy of the blue moon has been purified. The seed has been enhanced by the energy of the blue moon. The corrupted energy has been purified, so the resistance to corruption has increased. Upon consumption, all stats permanently increase by 15. If left on the ground, the seed will germinate and grow into a powerful Ent of purification. Shelf life, 100 years, grade A+. Sagan held it in his hand, impressed. Now that it's purified, it looks fine now. Kong loved the color. This color is so pretty, the little bear cub exclaimed. Master, are you going to eat it? Seijin glanced at Flame and suddenly remembered that if he ate this seed, his stats would go up. But he wasn't really keen on the idea of eating a tree seed. That just felt weird. Flame, however, misunderstood his hesitation. She thought he was still worried because it was a corrupted Ent seed, so she earnestly reassured him. This child wasn't bad one, you know. It used to be a kind one, but it was contaminated. Seijin understood what she meant. He didn't bother explaining. He just smiled. Don't worry, I'm a tower farmer. I should naturally plant the new seeds. Don't you think so? With that, he dug a small hole and placed the seed inside. A gentle pink light shimmered around it, making it look even more beautiful. Seijin covered it with soil, and right then, the system chimed. You have sowed a purified Ent's enhanced tree seed. Proficiency of sowing level 4 has increased significantly. Due to the effect of proficiency increase level 1, the proficiency of harvest level 4 has increased by 5%. The proficiency of sowing level 4 has been fulfilled and leveled up. The power of the purified Ent's enhanced seed is using its power and quickly growing. Sejun and his two little guards were both eagerly watching, waiting to see what would sprout from the soil. Soft white lights gathered into tiny floating orbs above the dirt mound, making the scene look like something straight out of a fairy tale. Just then, Eileen spoke up, startling Seijin. Hey, wait a minute. What if it grows into some massive, gigantic tree? Oh crap. Why didn't he think of that earlier? Eileen was right. Seijin immediately lunged at the dirt mound. Eileen was yelling right into his ear. Dig it up again. Hurry. Why had he been so reckless? What if this tree grew into the same massive size as the corrupted Ent that absorbed the blue moon's energy before? It could rip the entire cave apart. Seijin moved fast, but the tree moved even faster. Just as he reached for it, two tiny green leaves pushed through the soil. He froze, stiff as a statue. Then he screamed, It's growing already! Not only did it sprout, but a whole fluffy green mass started pushing out beneath the two tiny branches, making Seijin's heart nearly leap out of his chest. The image of a colossal corrupted Ent flashed through his mind, and his face turned pale as a sheet. Behind him, Kueng had already transformed into his larger form to protect his father, while Black Rabbit swiftly took a battle mode. But who could have expected that the thing in front of them was a tiny, green-feathered chick with two twig-like horns growing on its head? And that was it. It stopped growing right then and there. The system even confirmed that this was indeed the powerful purification Ent. It was kind of cute, Seijin had to admit, but wasn't it supposed to grow into an actual tree? Seijin stood there, completely dumbfounded. This thing is a powerful purification Ent? Anyway, you look at it, it looks exactly like a little green chick, all quiet and still. The only hint that it's really a plant are the two small branches on top of its head. Seijin and his group just stood there, frozen. Nobody could believe their eyes. That thing, that's supposed to be some powerful purification Ent? It seemed like only Kueng noticed something odd beyond its looks. He still seemed pretty on guard. Seijin stared at it hard like, it's smaller than I thought. Yet just a moment ago, he was afraid it'd wreck this ancient cave. While everyone was still at a loss, suddenly those eyes opened ever so gently. Inside them was something that shimmered gold, looking mighty mysterious. To show it wasn't just a chick, it stood up and popped out two chicken-like legs from the ground. Two tiny wings poked out, and it stretched its whole body, like it'd just woken up and needed a good yawn. Every move it made was surprising as heck, but it didn't seem dangerous, so Kueng returned to his smaller form. Where are you going, huh? Seijin asked, but it didn't pay him no mind. Soon as it stepped out of its planting hole, it started looking around for something. Its footsteps made a crackly sound, like a branch tapping the ground, and its whole body swayed side to side, walking just like a little chick. Suddenly, it stopped in its tracks when it saw Flame, who'd been quietly standing by her apple tree without saying a word. Purification Ent went pat 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 straight over to Flame with those two twiggy legs, like a chick running to its mama. No, it's gonna munch on the apple tree. Seijin freaked out, wanting to stop it in case it hurt both the tree and the spirit, but Flame seemed more freaked out by his yelling than by the Ent. She didn't look scared of it one bit. She hollered at Seijin, "Don't come here, master. This little one ain't bad." Honestly, he looked more like the bad guy than it did. Right then, Purification Ent screeched to a halt in front of Flame, pressing its 2 feet together, bobbing its head like a greeting, eyes squinting happily. Seijin shut right up. Just a second ago, it looked ready to attack, and now it was docile as could be. Not only docile, it even rubbed its big ol' head on Flame, all affectionate, like they'd known each other for ages. The girl was thrilled, patting that green fuzz like she really felt it. "Master, don't worry, it's all right. This little one's not bad, it's just protecting me." "Huh, protecting you? Protecting how?" Seijin knelt down, taking a closer look. Bet he had a ton of questions in mind. The Ent looked up at him cheerily, wiggling its tiny wings, and spoke. Ent protect. Purifying. Ent protect world tree." "What's a world tree?" Seijin asked Black Rabbit, who was the best at figuring stuff out, but that kid just shook his head. Not in my dictionary, Uncle. Kung didn't care about any language business. He only wanted to know if this thing could be eaten. His little worldview only split things into dangerous or not, edible or not, and that was that. All of a sudden, a system window went ding by Seijin, explaining that the world tree is some mysterious tree with the power of dragons. The system didn't really clarify it, just something Aileen had read in an old book. Only those recognized by the world tree can be blessed and enjoy boundless prosperity. So what about this ent here? Aileen heard his question, looked down for an answer, and read it out. Purification Ent was originally a guardian that protected the world tree, but ages ago, it got corrupted by some evil energy from outside the tower. She didn't really know much else. She'd never seen a corrupted purifying tree in her life. So if it's guarding Flame, does that mean Flame's the world tree? Seijin asked, and it spread its wings and gave a loud cry, like it agreed. That made Flame gasp, mouth gaping wide. What do you mean, me? Are you saying I'm the world tree? No way, I'm just an apple tree. There's no chance I'm that great tree. I'm just a weak little apple tree. Honest? She didn't even realize her roots were digging way down under the ocean, which was pretty darn epic if you asked anyone else. Aileen cleared it up real quick because she was the tower's manager, so she went and checked if there was any world tree in the tower right now. Turned out there wasn't. Conditions weren't met yet. The screen just said it short. World tree condition not fulfilled. But still, maybe Purification Ent saw some potential in Flame, which is why it was so friendly. Or maybe it believes Flame could become the world tree someday. Seijin was all sorts of confused. All he could see was a scrawny apple trunk, about as thick as his wrist, and a cute little spirit. Sure, Flame does have a lot of powers, but imagining it as a world tree-level plant was something he just couldn't wrap his head around. It wasn't just Seijin who was confused. Flame kept denying it. I'm just an ordinary apple tree, but you never know until you try. Seijin immediately ordered the two little ones to get moving. Black Rabbit, Queng, hurry and bring the watering rabbits here, and get clean water ready. The two kids rushed off at once, pat, 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 wasting no time. Then Seijin anxiously asked Flame, are you cold or hot? Do you want more sunlight? If you need anything later, just say it. Got it? I'll come by often to pat your head. The little one was still all flustered when Seijin turned to Purification Ent. You'd better protect my Flame really well, understand? It caught on right away, circling around the apple tree, eyes squinting happily as it repeated, purify, protect, protect, protect. Seijin was pleased watching it. He rubbed his palms on the apple tree like he was patting Flame's head. Grow up big and strong for us, Flame. Though Flame didn't quite get why she was suddenly the center of such attention, it was still delighted. She loved being patted and looked after by her master, so she just grinned away, feeling all happy to be cared for. Meanwhile, on the 67th floor, they were facing locusts that had turned purple. These were millions of purple locusts fed by those wild boars, and they'd multiplied so much that the blade onions could no longer hold them back. The brave lizard warriors gathered a few intact green onion roots for seed and then fled the battlefield. That was General Tamuro's team. They'd only stopped by Tarek's tent for a quick bite, and by the time they returned, things were already dire. He ordered the whole squad to retreat, but no matter how fast they ran, the last lizard warrior still ended up with locusts clinging to him, biting deep with needle-like mouths, painful as could be. If the silver wolf hadn't appeared out of nowhere at just the right moment to slash away the locusts, that warrior would have been torn to pieces by now. Elke used a blade onion stalk to hack away the locusts on the lizard warrior, but quickly realized the green onion tip had corroded, as though it had been dipped in poison. The purple color from the locust still clung to the green onion's tip, then slowly broke apart and flew off in the wind, leaving Elke badly shaken. The whirring got louder and louder. Clouds of purple locusts swarmed in, blotting out the sun. Danger was closing in, their weapons were failing, and the wounded lizard warrior looked like he couldn't run on his own. Just when it was a hair's breadth from disaster, spheres of light suddenly went boom, right into the locust swarm. Elke was so close his vision went white, and he quickly ducked aside, but fortunately, he was all right. Chunks of charred locust corpses rained down from above. Not too far away, Elko was shouting for him to hurry over. Behind him were the silhouettes of cloaked magicians. If they hadn't shown up in time, Elke would have been a goner. Without delay, Elke clamped onto the lizard warrior's shirt and sprinted on all fours, racing across the field of blade onions while the purple locusts gave chase. With a mighty leap, Elke took the lizard warrior out of harm's way, crossing the boundary of a magic barrier the mages had put up together. As soon as the silver wolf made it through, someone yelled, "Magicians, attack!" Then multicolored magic circles fired beams of light in every hue, as pretty as a rainbow but devastating in power. They pounded into the purple locusts, blowing them to pieces in midair. "Elke, are you okay?" Everyone rushed to check on Elke, while a few gathered around the lizard warrior, whose skin was now stained purple from the locust poison. Elke was fine, but had no idea what was going on. Why were there purple locusts at all? The lizards were clueless too. As far as they knew, the locusts should have been degenerating into blue locusts by now. "So should we plant more blade green onions?" Elko asked Elke, but seeing how things were, probably not. It'd be pointless. Once the green onions slashed the locusts, they just shriveled up on the spot. They were poisoned and couldn't be saved anymore. That went for the lizard warrior too, who was writhing on the ground, his whole face now a deep purple. He was drifting into delirium, groaning about the pain. The medics could only dull it a bit. Once you were hit by purple locust venom, there was basically no cure. "We're done for. Their poison's too strong. It'll spread everywhere. The land and the air will get contaminated." The lightly wounded warriors grumbled in frustration. "Damn it, killing those locusts splashes poison on us. And we get hit too. We can't even fight them without magic. Our warriors are useless now." Elke looked at the situation and felt a chill down his spine. The soldiers on the battlefield were steadily dwindling, and if this kept up, the 67th floor really would be swallowed whole by that swarm of locusts. Suddenly, someone called out quietly down below, "Sir Elke?" It was a group of brown cat trainees under Theo's command, each carrying a bundle of detox green onions in their arms. They hesitantly asked the wolf, "We each brought a few detoxifying green onion stalks when we came down from the 99th floor. Do you think they might help?" They gazed nervously at Elke. Wolves were scary in the eyes of cats, after all. But the moment he heard detox, Elke lit up with a big grin. The lizard warrior was immediately given some detox green onions to chew, which was the only way to cure him now. Even though it hurt, he had to keep chewing. To everyone's surprise, the second he swallowed a bite, his symptoms vanished. The warrior recovered in a flash, and he himself was shocked at how quickly it worked. The detox green onions were a success. Everyone cheered joyfully, eyes on the newly recovered warrior, who no longer had a single purple patch on him. They handed over the bundle of detox green onions to the lizard warriors, and Elke instructed everyone to treat the wounded right away, then get moving. "Kiddies, let's all go. We have to share this news with the 99th floor. The only thing that can turn this war around is the detox green onions." They had to hurry, because the purple locusts had evolved. They weren't afraid of the blade green onions the way the red ones were. Once they finished gobbling the green onion field and turned on the mages with all their might, not even the magical defenses would hold. Meanwhile, Elke and Hegel had made their way to the forest on the 99th floor. Oren was riding on the black wolf's back along with Marl and Skaram, while Theo alone sat on the head of the silver wolf chieftain. "Ow! Why'd you poke me?" The green goblin yelped in a shrill voice. Even though his hands were bound, the black cat behind him was jabbing him with a staff. "Don't try anything funny. You're hiding something, aren't you?" the cat hissed. "I'm not hiding anything. Quit accusing me," the goblin hollered back. There was no need for Oren to speak up. Hegel had already issued a warning. "Don't forget you're riding on my back, goblin. I can sense every move you make." The goblin instantly shut his mouth. Oren leaned forward, reaching into Skaram's shirt pocket. Sure enough, he pulled something out, a key. The goblin hurried to explain that it was just a house key, nothing more, but Oren confiscated it and shoved it into his own bundle, just to be safe. If it really was just a house key, Skaram sure not looked mighty upset about losing it. All the ruckus behind them made Theo up front glance back, and he praised Oren. "Nice work." His voice woke the hamster girl sleeping under his hood, Iona, who cracked her eyes open groggily. "You're awake, huh?" She hopped right off Elka's soft fur and took one look around to see they'd arrived. Theo grinned. "Yup, we're on the 99th floor now. Thanks to that high-speed tunnel, we made it here so fast. Thank you, Iona." She brushed it off with a little smile. "No need for thanks. This was the right thing to do, Theo." Then he asked if she was okay or if she needed more rest. But Iona was fully recovered after dozing in Theo's hood. She was more than ready to see Lord Sejan. This meeting was too important to be half asleep for it. They were still talking when Elka called out, "Sir Theo, I see Lord Sejan over there." And he wasn't alone. There were the rabbit folks and Quang all gathered around this bright green creature. Turned out, Perfection Ent was about the same size as the other farm beasts, practically looked like part of the farm itself. This was its first time out and about, so it turned every which way, gentle eyes full of curiosity. Mama Rabbit treated it like a little kid. One misstep, and it could tip right over. Suddenly, a familiar voice called out, "Lord Sajin." He looked over and saw the big ones and the little ones approaching, led by Theo. "We're back!" He was happy to see them, and this time, everybody noticed there was a brand new person tagging along. Black Rabbit recognized her. Who would have guessed they'd meet her here? Puyu had indeed spotted the rabbit watching her so intently since they arrived, but she just lowered her head in a polite greeting and walked on behind her master, leaving Black Rabbit standing there looking like a fool, mouth agape and cheeks bright red just because she nodded at him. Even Sickle Rabbit noticed how weird his little brother was acting. "What's with you, kid? You know that pretty lady?" Black Rabbit snapped his mouth shut right away, stammering, "No, nothing. We only met for a few seconds." The new arrivals split up. Theo and Elka went to check out that unfamiliar green critter. They'd never seen anything like it before. "I'm Ent, a guardian of the world tree, here to protect Flame. What the heck is it talking about anyway?" Theo didn't get it at all. Meanwhile, Sajin greeted Iona with the rest of the rabbits, all of them eyeing the lovely rabbit girl who'd come with the Grand Archmage. "Yes, Lord Sajin, this is my disciple, Puyu." The girl politely bowed to the Black Dragon, introducing herself by name. He responded cheerily, "I'm Park Sajin. Just call me Sajin. So why've you come here? I doubt it's not only for a greeting, right?" Puyu blinked at him in surprise. No wonder he was the Black Dragon. "Yes, exactly. I've come to ask for your help." Then Iona spoke up on her behalf. "Puyu is my disciple, but she's also the last princess of the Red Ribbon Kingdom on the 55th floor. She's here for your immediately protection." "Huh? What was that?" Sajin jolted so hard he nearly fell backward. He was shocked that someone would come asking him for protection, while the rabbit family behind him was downright terrified at hearing the words, "Last princess of the Red Ribbon Kingdom." The most stunned of all were the husband and wife rabbits and the gray rabbits who'd escaped that kingdom on the day it fell. Without a second's delay, all the rabbits present dropped to their knees and bowed to Puyu in unison, calling out, "Princess, we had no idea you were still safe. Please forgive us for not recognizing you." Puyu was so flustered, she didn't know what to say until Mother Rabbit spoke. "You've grown up so beautifully. As one of your people, I'm truly moved." It was the first time Puyu's identity as princess had been openly revealed, but her words came out gentle as could be. "Everyone, please stand. There's no need for formalities." So the rabbit couple and the gray rabbits came closer, eyes brimming with tears, while the youngsters born on the 99th floor, who knew nothing of the Red Ribbon Kingdom's downfall, just stood there staring, confused. Mother Rabbit, for her part, was sobbing uncontrollably, grasping Puyu's hands and calling her princess, unable to say much else. At that point, Sajin asked Iona, "So protect her from what, exactly?" "That's a long story," she replied. Taking advantage of the tearful moment on the side, Iona explained the entire tale to Sajin. Once the emotional part had passed, Theo settled comfortably on the boss's lap like always, listening as Iona finished. "Oh my, that must have been really tough on Puyu, huh?" Sajin glanced at her with sympathy. Back then, she was just a baby in diapers. Though the princess blamed herself for being too weak, all the rabbits instantly cried out in unison, "No, it's not the princess's fault. It's all because of Grid, and we can't ever forgive him. We have to save the captives suffering over there, and avenge the queen and king." Only Kwang and Perfection Ent off to the side weren't paying much attention. Everyone else was caught up in the rabbit's fierce determination. Then Iona pulled out a flat object and handed it to Sajin. "After this kidnapping ordeal, we gathered solid evidence we can use to strike back at Grid." Sajin took it, eyeing the two who were still tied up, with Oren standing behind them holding a staff. He thought they looked so pitiful, it was almost cute. "They used this stuff to kidnap you and Puyu, huh? We'll deal with interrogations later." He looked down at the thing in his hand. It was something he'd never seen before, carved with a dragon design. Sajin also had a dragon mark on his arm, but his was black. Why was this one white? Suddenly, Eileen sent a message, sounding a bit testy. "That thing can't be here." "What do you mean?" Sajin asked, but Eileen was just as baffled. She recognized the object all too well. It was the white dragon's insignia. It belonged to Kalon Marv, his grandfather. Wait, wasn't his only grandfather Fritani Kaiser, the Black Dragon? Since when did he have a white dragon grandfather too? Seijin flipped the seal in his hand, looking at it repeatedly, and only uttered a few words. So that's how it is. He didn't even question what the dragon girl had just said, that this belonged to White Dragon Kellyan Marv, while she already had a grandfather who was a black dragon named Kaiser Fratani. Perhaps too occupied with figuring out how to use it, Seijin glanced at the two figures tied up on the ground and wondered, did they use this sigil to attack? Yes, came the reply. Seijin, what do you want to do with them, Nya? Seizing the moment while he was still lost in thought, Skaram immediately prostrated himself. Please spare me just this once, Black Dragon. The elf didn't even bother acknowledging Marl beside him and only pleaded for himself. Marl, being equally cunning, quickly shifted the blame onto Skaram. I was only following this elf's orders, Black Dragon. Seijin didn't bother responding to them and instead asked Aileen, does this White Dragon sigil belong to the dragon that manages the White Tower? The system notification instantly displayed the answer. That's correct. We have clans of dragons that represent different colors, such as the black dragon, the blue dragons, the silver dragons, and so on. Additionally, there is an unspoken rule that a dragon's belonging cannot be brought into another tower without permission. Dragon belonging are already extremely powerful. If misused, they could shatter the worlds constructed within the towers. At this, Aileen grew uneasy. If this truly belonged to my grandfather, White Dragon Kellyan, then it's even more dangerous. Seijin had no idea about the tangled connections in all of this. He was merely curious. Why? Is there a special reason? Aileen hesitated for a moment before explaining. My grandfather and Grandfather Kellyan are actually… Before she could finish, a deep and normally nonchalant voice suddenly boomed. Hey, Park Seijin. A massive stone statue came striding forward, gently calling out to the farmer, but not to continue Eileen's explanation. Instead, it was to declare, I'm a bit hungry. Is there anything to eat? Kaiser didn't care who Seijin was, with or what he was doing. He just barged in, causing the surrounding monsters to panic in terror. Be Black Dragon? Iona's eyes went wide. The moment she let out a sound, it caught Kaiser's attention. Not just Iona, Hegel also immediately fell to his knees, tightly shutting his eyes in apprehension. We greet the Black Dragon. All the rabbit folk working in the fields were already aware of Kaiser's presence. The only one who had never seen him before was Puyu, who was too stunned to kneel and simply stared with wide eyes. But Kaiser only locked his gaze onto the tiny hamster, no bigger than his claw. Judging by the aura of your energy, you must be the child responsible for casting the protective shield on the fragment of the monument. Huh? Summoning such an advanced magic spell was quite impressive. Iona dared not be careless. Keeping her head bowed low, she meekly whispered, Thank you, Black Dragon. Only then did Kaiser finally notice the unfamiliar faces around him. Apart from Iona, none of them had enough magical power to interest him. Turning to Seijin, he asked, What's all this? It hasn't been that long, and you already have so many visitors. Why not just throw a party to celebrate? It became clear that the old dragon had no idea what everyone had been talking about. Seeing no point in explaining, Seijin let out an awkward laugh and extended the object in his hand. Unexpectedly, the moment the white dragon seal peeked out, Kaiser's expression shifted dramatically. The massive dragon leaned in closer to Seijin, his enormous stone-like figure casting a shadow over him, while one of his claws nudged Seijin's arm. Seijin tensed up in alarm. Kaiser impatiently gripped his hand and demanded, Park Seijin, where did you get that thing? Why are you acting like this, Kaiser? Seijin tried to calm him down, but the old dragon's voice only grew more impatient. Answer me now. Caught in Kaiser's massive claw, Seijin hurriedly explained, well, I got it from that elf and the white cat over there. We were investigating because we heard that someone used it to frame us. As if begging for their lives wasn't enough, now the two culprits had to face an actual black dragon before their eyes. Their bodies shrank in terror, and they didn't dare utter a word. Kaiser released Seijin and immediately shifted his attention. He turned his massive head toward the two tiny figures at his feet and thundered, Using that thing? Huh? Residents of Black Tower dared to use an item belonging to the White Tower? His roar crashed like a storm upon the gathered monsters, causing sweat to drip from every inch of Skaram and Marl's faces. Spare us, please, they stammered, their voices trembling. We were wrong. The surrounding creatures held their breath in absolute fear. Hegel, meeting Kaiser for the first time, was shaken to the core. He had never seen such overwhelming dominance completely overshadowing even Seijin. Unable to stop trembling, he just wanted to escape from this place. But the fear of those around him did nothing to temper the Black Dragon's fury. On the contrary, this was an incredibly grave matter. Kaiser's eyes gleamed as energy surged into his claw, glowing with a faint light. The dragon's power illuminated Skaram's bewildered face as though peering directly into his soul. In that brief yet seemingly endless moment, the might of Black Dragon Kaiser Fratani condensed into one single point, forming a roaring dragon specter. His humanoid form was merely a shell concealing the full power of the Black Dragon, ruler of the Black Tower. Without hesitation, he pointed his claw forward, uttering one word: exterminate. Power surged violently around Kaiser, whipping his robes and hair into the air. But to the monsters of the 99th floor, all they saw was a single dragon claw gently touching Skaram's forehead. The elf, clueless about what was happening, had just heard something about being exterminate, yet he felt nothing. Maybe he misheard? Pop! Skaram exploded into a million pieces right before everyone's eyes. With just a single touch of the Black Dragon's power, the elf was wiped out, exactly as Kaiser had declared. It took a moment for Seijin and the surrounding creatures to comprehend what had just happened, that Kaiser had effortlessly obliterated someone in front of them. Terror, shock, and sheer horror spread across their faces one by one. Even Aileen hadn't expected her grandfather to act so decisively and ruthlessly. The white cat beside them hadn't even realized that her companion had been killed. But when she turned to look, the green elf was nothing more than a pile of ashes, his blood completely incinerated by an unimaginable heat, leaving the ground scorched black. No, 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 no. The moment Meryl grasped what had happened, she immediately tried to scramble away, but she was so panicked that she collapsed onto the ground. Meanwhile, Kaiser had already shifted his focus to the second target, his sharp claw pointing at her, ready to do the same. Kaiser! Lord Kaiser, stop! Seijin leaped forward, shouting, and all the surrounding monsters rushed in at once in a frantic attempt to intervene. How could they have known that a mere white dragon emblem would drive the Black Dragon into such a frenzy? Seijin didn't know either. All he knew was that he had to stop the old dragon. If you kill this one too, we'll never find out how that thing got in here. It doesn't matter, Kaiser replied curtly. They were tainted with the energy of the white. It must be exterminated. Step aside, Park Seijin, even if it's you. A light flared at the tip of Kaiser's claw. Once he was enraged, there was no stopping him. Seijin froze at the chilling tone. If he refused to move, would Kaiser actually kill him? Just then, a system notification pinged right in front of Kaiser's face, blocking his view. There weren't even any words on it yet, but the dragon was already furious. Aileen, don't you dare interfere. You know how much I despise them, don't you? Instead of persuading him, Aileen outright threatened him. You're the one who needs to stop. If you don't stop, I'll cut off the communication immediately. What? Aileen? Wait. Before he could finish his sentence, Aileen opened a flood of blue system panels, focusing entirely on modifying the area settings and activating administrator privileges. Never before in her career as a tower manager had she worked under such pressure. Kaiser knew his granddaughter wasn't bluffing. He quickly backed down, fearing that she would literally log him out of the server. But Aileen knew her grandfather too well. She had to ensure absolute protection for her crush. What if the old man got irritated and poked Seijin's forehead? Then what? I'm blocking you for the time being. Crystal ball, cut of the stone statue's communication. She selected the modification area, immediately severing the connection condition. A message appeared. Would you like to block this connection? Without hesitation, Aileen pressed yes. 1 second passed. Kaiser, not hearing a response from his granddaughter, called out in confusion. Aileen? No reply. A second later, the light vanished from his dragon eyes, like a television screen abruptly shutting off. Kaiser had been officially logged out, leaving behind a literal stone statue. Seijin cautiously called out to him, while the surrounding monsters remained frozen like statues themselves. Who else would dare confront Kaiser besides Seijin, the crazy farmer? When the dragon didn't respond, it meant he wasn't able to respond anymore. Seijin sighed in relief when he spotted a message notification nearby. I turned off the stone statue. He won't be able to connect for the time being. Finally, he asked, why was Lord Kaiser so furious? Don't dragons normally fight together like life and death brothers? Aileen sighed, sounding dejected. That's a long story, but I thought dragons had good relationships and even interacted with other dragon clans? They did, Aileen said. Before I became the tower administrator, I played and studied alongside dragons from different clans. My grandfather Kellyon and my grandfather were once the closest of friends. Everyone envied their bond. But then, because of a certain incident happened, their relationship completely fell apart. Since then, even the mere trace of each other sends them into an all-out war. The white dragon and the black dragon, once best friends, now bitter enemies due to the feud between their families. Aileen understood her grandfather's anger, but recalling the past only made her nostalgic. She sighed. I wonder how Brother Ajax is doing these days. It's been hundreds of years since I last saw him. Sajin had no idea who that was. Hearing her call him brother, he wanted to ask, who the hell is that guy? But he swallowed the question and cleared his throat instead. Well, anyway, to calm Lord Kaiser down, we should investigate the origins of this emblem, right? Oren dragged Marl, who was so terrified that even her tail curled up, before Sajin. At this point, all they could hope for was that the white cat would confess something useful, though to be fair, she didn't even need any threats. Marl had just witnessed Skarum literally explode before her eyes. Tears were already streaming down her face. At the end of the day, Marl was just a small-town girl with slightly better looks than other cats. If even a wolf would be scared, how could she not be? Outside the Black Tower, a deafening boom suddenly echoed. The stone platform where the two black dragons had been standing was struck by a tremendous force. Metal clattered against the ground, followed by a sharp, irritated hiss. Kaiser Fratani stood amidst the wreckage he himself had caused, his head bowed, more consumed by his own fury than by the destruction around him. By the time his son arrived, there was nothing left to salvage. Father, what happened? Kaiser turned to glance at Anton, but only barely, not even bothering to reply. Anton grew more alarmed. Did something happen with Aileen? Why does the device look like this? I got angry and destroyed it. Kaiser hadn't talked yet about the part about finding the white dragon's emblem in the tower. Instead, he only muttered about how he had no idea when Aileen had studied the tower system, but she had cut the connection at a critical junction. Clever little brat. She really is my granddaughter. By this point, Kaiser's voice carried an amused chuckle. His anger had subsided. Anton, however, was pissed. Okay, fine, she's smart, but why the hell did you take your anger out on the device? Do you even know how much that thing worth? Kaiser didn't care. Just find the person who made it and tell them to fix it. More importantly, the white bastard's item had been found inside the Black Tower. Seeing his father's face still contorted with rage, Anton immediately understood. It must have been Kellyon, huh? At the mere mention of the name, Kaiser's expression twisted further in pure annoyance. That's exactly it. He's been spreading his power by letting the residents of the tower use items infused with his energy. Kaiser growled, his rage barely contained. He knew I would discover it, and yet he still left behind such an unpleasant gift. Too furious to stand still, he turned on his heel, but not before giving his son an order. Anton, summon the black dragons immediately. Anton quickly stepped in. Father, what are you planning? Do you really intend to start a war? Kaiser's wings flared open in response, but he still spoke, as if his son might not understand otherwise. Anton, this is war. A war between the white dragons and the black dragons. How could I ever forget what that bastard did in the past? This time, I will make sure he pays the price. Without waiting for another word, Kaiser spread his wings and took off, completely ignoring his son's calls from below. Anton knew his father far too well. Once the old dragon decided something, he would see it through to the bitter end. There was no stopping him now. All Anton could do was stare blankly as his father fully transformed into a black dragon and shot into the cosmos before him. A bloodstorm will be coming soon. Meanwhile, on the 99th floor, though the fields looked peaceful, the atmosphere was anything but relaxing. Merle had been crying non-stop, her every word drained of energy from sheer terror. It was a miracle she hadn't fainted yet. I don't know anything, she sobbed. Skarum, after he met Tarek, he gave me this thing, and I just used it. Please spare me. I'll do anything, please. She fell to her knees before Sajin once again. He might not have turned into a black dragon, but he was the only one who had dared to speak up earlier. Iona confirmed, she must be telling the truth, Sajin. When we were captured, Tarek said something similar. Sajin narrowed his eyes. Does that mean Tarek was in contact with the white dragon? Iona hesitated. No, I don't think so. Behind her, Kwang was happily playing with the purifying chick, completely oblivious to the terror the adults had just gone through. It's more likely Tarek received this from greed, Iona continued. Judging from his personality, if that loudmouth was involved in something like this, he would have bragged about it everywhere. I always found it strange. Greed's wealth and secret information network, that's not something a single person could manage alone. Kwang, now in his large form, gleefully tossed the tiny tree he was holding into the air, laughing as it fell back down. Meanwhile, Poor Elka was worried sick. He should be in an important meeting right now, but he was babysitting instead? Sejin thought over Iona's words. As expected, looks like I'll have to investigate greed next. Just as everyone waited for Sejin to decide where to start, Black Rubiet suddenly spoke up. How about we take a break and continue this conversation later? Everyone must be exhausted by now, right? Sejin turned and noticed Puyu looking pale and drained. After what had just happened, she must have been terrified. All right, everyone, rest up. We'll continue tonight. He then turned to Black Rabbit. Can you take Puyu home for me? The group slowly dispersed. Iona sidled up to Theo. I'll excuse myself to Theo's hoodie again. The cat beamed with joy. If Iona wanted to nest in his hood for as long as she wanted, she was more than welcome. Meryl was taken away by the Rabbit sisters. Anywhere was fine, as long as it was far from any black dragons. Before leaving, Iona reminded her, Meryl, using items from another tower without permission is a grave crime, punishable by execution. Even if you aren't punished here, if the association catches you, the penalty will be immediate, so be prepared. With that, Iona hopped into Theo's hood. Theo, now seeing the crying white cat, didn't know how to comfort her. He just watched her bury her face in her paws and sniffle. Feeling sorry for her, he muttered, She looks kind of pitiful. Can't we let her go just this once, nya? What's this? Are you considering Meryl at this moment? Theo immediately denied it, flustered. And no, I'm not. Suddenly, Oren called out, Lord Sejin, what should we do with this bundle? It was a pile of items confiscated from Skaram. Good point. There might be some clues in there. Sejin stepped forward and rummaged through the bag, listening to the clinking of metal objects as they tumbled out. Oren tilted his head. Are you looking for something specific, Nia? Sejin explained. Skaram owned a lot of items from outside the tower, but he never interacted with humans, so how did he get them? There must be a reason or a method. If he were still alive, they could just ask him, but since he's dead, they have to figure it out ourselves. After sifting through the pile, Sejin pulled out an old, suspicious-looking key. Holding it up, he asked the two cats, Is this really a key? Well, Skaram did say it was, Theo replied. But what would he use a key for? Wandering Merchain uses their bundle as their home. Just then, a system notification popped up. The owner of the Warden's key has disappeared. The owner of the subspace prison key has disappeared. The subspace prison key will be assigned to Park Sejin, the tower manager. Before he could process what that meant, another message appeared, summoning the subspace prison. Before anyone could react, a massive door came crashing down with a thunderous boom. Everyone, cats included, jumped back in shock. What the hell? Where did this door come from? It was a towering wooden door, with an arched frame and stone steps at its base, ancient and imposing. Iona narrowed her eyes. She could sense spatial magic emanating from it. So it's subspace magic. It's a magic spell that creates a space between dimensions. They're used to imprison dangerous criminals or protect valuable treasures. She glanced at the key in Sejin's hand. Sejin caught on. Wait, don't tell me this key is for this door? He hesitantly inserted the key. It fit. Twisting it to the right, he pushed the door open. Oren didn't dare step inside. Only Theo followed Sejin. It was pitch black inside, completely empty. The only light came from the entrance behind them. Theo frowned. Huh? There's nothing here? Wasn't this supposed to be where Skaram hid valuable artifacts? Suddenly, Theo's ears twitched. He pointed at a corner. Sejin, over there. Something rustled faintly in the darkness. If it weren't for Theo's sharp hearing, they wouldn't have noticed. Sejin finally spotted it. A figure with wings was curled up against the stone wall, shielding its face. Theo yelled, Who are you? Identify yourself, Nia. The creature shrank further, whimpering. Please don't hurt me. I beg you. Hearing the pitiful voice, Sejin knelt down. Calm down. I won't hurt you. Who are you? Theo, curious, watched the figure closely. He had only yelled to scare it, not to be aggressive. After a moment of hesitation, the creature slowly stepped out of the shadows, saying, My name is Bat-Bat. It resembled a bat, with black wings wrapped protectively around its chest, but its perky ears and fur didn't match that of a bat at all. As it waddled into the light, its large, teary eyes met Sejin's. Are you my new master? Its tiny legs pitter-pattered against the wooden floor as it walked. It barely finished its sentence before a tear rolled down its cheek. Sejin's group looked at the creature in sympathy. But what's his deal? Judging by Theo's bewildered expression, even he had never seen anything like it before.
Seeing the whole group staring at it, the strange creature softly asked, Isn't it only Master Skaram who can open this prison? Are you my new master? Seijin introduced himself and asked curiously. I did open this prison, but who are you? What are you doing here? The creature furrowed its brows at Seijin, as if he had asked something absurd. The one who opened the prison didn't even know why he was here. With its wings folded tightly, it timidly introduced itself as a golden bat named Bat-Bat, waiting here for its master to arrive. What? You're a golden bat? Where's the gold? You look dirty as hell. Theo stepped forward, openly skeptical. When was the last time you washed? He even covered his nose and sniffed as if the bat emitted some unbearable stench. And it seemed Theo had asked the right question. Bat-Bat blinked in confusion and asked back, Washing? What is that? Ugh, Seijin, this thing is so dirty. Theo clutched his nose and shouted, making the farmer feel awkward. Seijin could already smell something unpleasant coming from the bat. Who knew how long it had been here? Seijin asked if it had been trapped here for a long time, but Bat-Bat looked just as confused. Huh, I was born and raised here. This new master is quite strange, but I should make a good impression, so I'll give you a gift. I received this from Master Scarum. It's delicious, so I saved it. It rummaged under its left armpit for a moment before pulling out something extremely rotten. It seemed to be some kind of fruit, its wrinkled skin covered in mold, shriveled and dark brown, exuding a foul stench. Seijun, a farmer through and through, had never seen such a fruit like this one before. His face turned pale as if he had seen a ghost. The smell was unbearable. Theo, standing next to him, looked at the offering Bat-Bat held with both hands, his expression twisted in horror. It's completely rotten. What even is this? Even Iona discreetly covered her mouth, yet the bat proudly presented the item as if it were something special. Doesn't it look delicious? I'm giving it to you, master. If you eat that, you'll get sick. Have you been eating things like this all this time? Seijin shouted. Seijin was so taken aback that he raised his voice a little. Upon hearing this, the bat's eyes welled up with tears. Its ears drooped as it clutched the rotten fruit tightly in its arms, looking aggrieved. This is Bat-Bat's treasure. I got it as a reward for doing well. It's really delicious. Noticing Orin peeking from behind the stone door, Seijin's voice turned firm. You can't eat this. You said your name is Bat-Bat, right? First, let's get out of here. How have you even survived in this place? The bat looked up at him as if hearing the words of an alien. Did you just say to go outside? The little creature was terrified. Master Skaram had said that the outside world was dangerous and terrifying, that if it left, small creatures like itself would be eaten alive and meet terrible fates. It spoke as if it were that Iona, who was even smaller than it, was standing right there. Seijin patiently explained, It depends on the situation, but the outside isn't as scary and dangerous as you think. Skaram lied to you. Bat-Bat was so shocked it dropped the rotten fruit from its hands. It seemed to have trusted its master a lot, and hearing something bad about him left it utterly stunned. Bat-Bat, I'm also from a small race like you, but living in this dark place is such a waste because the outside world is truly beautiful. You don't have to eat rotten fruit like this. You can enjoy fresh fruits and vegetables all you want. It picked up the rotten fruit again, cradling it like a treasure. Though it didn't quite understand what fresh meant, the way its mouth watered and its cheeks flushed showed that it was tempted. Seeing the opportunity, Seijin continued, That's right. If you like fruit, I have cherry tomatoes I grew. Would you like to try them? They're sweet and fresh. Sweet? Bat-Bat seemed to waver. Well then, what are you waiting for? Let's go out and eat. Just one step outside and you'll see. Seijin got up and gestured for it to follow. The bat hesitated. It wanted to go, but fear still gripped it. It made sense. Bat-Bat had been raised with the belief that the outside world was out to devour it. How could it step outside so easily? Iona reached out a small hand and smiled. If you're scared, hold my hand. I'll protect you. Bat-Bat had no idea that the person offering to protect it was the Grand Archmage of the tower. It only saw a tiny creature like itself, from the outside world, who didn't seem to fear it at all. Maybe the outside world wasn't as terrifying as it thought. Hesitantly, it placed its hand in Iona's. She immediately grasped it and pulled it close. Bat-Bat unconsciously let go of the rotten fruit, leaving it behind on the stone floor as it followed Iona, Seijun, and Theo through the prison door. With just a few steps beyond the stone gate, it felt as if an entirely different world awaited. The warm sunlight shone into Bat-Bat's eyes, making it unable to open them. Having grown up in a place where only a faint light seeped through the wooden door, it took quite some time to adjust. Iona simply smiled, holding its hand as she led it outside. waiting patiently for the little creature to finally open its eyes. As soon as it caught sight of its surroundings, its eyes sparkled, reflecting the sunlight. In front of it stretched a vast and radiant world. The gentle wind brushed against its fur, bringing a soft, comforting sensation, completely different from the prison. Seeing its dazed expression, Iona grinned and asked, "How do you feel?" "Amazing, right?" Bat hesitated, looking around and taking deep breaths. "The smell, it's completely different from inside the prison." "Of course it is. The wind is warm too. Doesn't it feel wonderful?" Sejin, being taller, didn't notice the scent much, and Iona's nose seemed immune. Oren remained silent, but Theo groaned while pinching his nose. "Nya nya nya. The moment we stepped outside, the stink from this thing spread everywhere. This is beyond what grooming can fix." Bat seemed completely unaware that the orange cat was complaining about its smell. To it, everything seemed normal. "So, what should I do now?" it asked timidly. Sejin's face turned serious. I have a lot of questions about the prison space and about you. But before that, there's something even more important to do." Theo clung to Sejin's pant leg, silently pleading for him to tell the bat to take a bath. Thankfully, the farmer got the message. The most important thing right now is to take a bath and eat. Those were two entirely new concepts for Bat. But before anything else, it needed to understand that on the 99th floor, no one ate alone. Food tasted best when shared with the whole family. Sejin took Bat to introduce it to the rabbit family, the Wolf Clan chiefs, and Kuang and his mother. At first, everyone curiously inspected the golden bat. Then, almost in unison, they all covered their noses. The rabbit parents exchanged awkward glances, unsure what to say. This little one smelled too much. And so, under the clear blue sky of the 99th floor, a plume of white smoke rose high. The great Feast and Bath Festival had begun, kicking off with a bucket of water being dumped straight onto Hagel's head. Kong giggled in delight, while Elka remained silent, the Black Wolf chief looking like a soaked puppy under the care of Mama Bear. Would Elka be next after Hagel? Nearby, the quick-working architect rabbits had already built a brick hot spring. The system was simple. Just throw some firewood into the base to heat the water. Somehow, the gray rabbits had designed it so perfectly that the temperature was just right for a bath, without anyone getting cooked alive. Beside the bath, 2 large trays of food had already been prepared, along with glasses of cherry tomato juice. Rabbit Mom handed Sejin a glass to taste. Kuang floated in the warm water, completely relaxed beside his father. It seemed like Bat enjoyed bathing too. It had joined in, mimicking the others as it soaked itself. Everyone received a glass of cherry tomato juice. Bat took its portion from Sejin's hand with gratitude and curiosity. "What is this?" It had never seen anything like it before. Copying Kung, it tried sipping through the straw. Its eyes widened with awe. Sparkling with admiration and delight, it stared at Sejin, filled with gratitude. This was probably the best thing it had ever tasted. Master Sejin hadn't lied. There really were things outside that were far better than the rotten fruit in the prison. Soon, Kung let Bat climb onto his head, giving it a high vantage point to look down at the rabbits teasing each other. "Why does your face look like a burnt pot lid? What kind of fire-blowing technique was that?" Laughter echoed everywhere. Bat joined in, laughing heartily. Could it have laughed like this inside the prison? A warm feeling surrounded it, and in no time, it had completely blended into the cheerful atmosphere. Next to the bath was the tub where Elka, the wolf chief, was soaking. Though it was a bit small for him, his head and tail sticking out, it was still far better than being grabbed by Mama Bear and forcefully drenched. Just look at his blissful expression, especially with 3 diligent attendants scrubbing him down. Meanwhile, Black Rabbit was sneaking away with Piuyu, crossing behind the wooden house. Were they running away together? Above them, the clouds drifted lazily across the 99th floor sky. Half a day had already passed. After the bath, everyone had nearly devoured the heaping trays of food. Full and satisfied, they sprawled across the floor, either napping or playing together. Kuang, for some reason, had found a towel and was now scrubbing the purifying tree as if it were an actual chicken. Standing outside, Sejin stretched, feeling relaxed as he observed everything with Iona. "Looks like everyone's settling in quite well, huh?" The Archmage nodded. "I hope that little one can settle down here." "Sejin, what do you plan to do with the prison space now?" "Oh, right. That was the next important thing to deal with after eating and bathing." Sejin pulled out the key and looked into the empty space in front of him. "Summon subspace prison." With a heavy thud, the wooden door, framed in stone, slammed into place before them. The commotion was just as loud as before, but this time, Seijin wasn't afraid anymore. Instead, he put the key away and asked Iona, "It seems like I can summon this prison anywhere, right?" The hamster nodded. "Yes, it seems that it now belongs to you, Seijin. You can take it out and summon it anywhere. What should I do with it, though?" He could only see Bat inside. There were no other living creatures. "Then I'll clean it up and use it as storage. I would be convenient if I had something like a storage bag." Iona immediately spoke up. "Seijin, if you don't mind, could you allow me to upgrade it into proper storage? This is an old version using triple-layered magic, so I think I can expand the space. I'll clean it up, install lights, build shelves, and even decorate the interior." "Really? That's amazing, Iona. You can use magic like that too? Well, you are the master of the magic tower after all." Seijin suddenly knelt on one knee and patted Iona's head. The little hamster froze in shock. Had anyone in the Black Tower ever dared to pat Iona's head before? Definitely not. At first, she was startled, but the feeling quickly turned to joy. She allowed Seijin to continue, warmth spreading through her chest. This was the feeling of being recognized and cared for. Her happiness grew so much that her cheeks turned red. Unable to endure it any longer, she pulled up her cloak to cover her face, shyly stepping away from Seijin's hand. "Q, Seijin, you are truly a kind dragon." Before he could even ask what she meant by that, Iona pushed open the door and stepped inside. "I'm going to close the door for a while to perform the magic upgrade. See you later, Seijin." Seeing him nod and remind her to call for him if she needed anything, Iona smiled before stepping inside. Once the wooden door shut, darkness consumed the prison space, forcing her to summon an orb of light. Now alone, Iona murmured to herself, "He's always so humble, treating everyone equally without distinguishing strength. Just seeing him happy over a basic spell like this, I can't help but want to act spoiled. He truly has the heart of a great person." Then for Seijin, "Shall I start the renovation?" Her small eyes glowed as she floated into the air, surrounded by golden magic. The bricks, doors, and walls of the prison were covered in shimmering golden lines, evidence of a powerful spell enveloping the entire space. Away from Seijin and the rabbits, who were lounging about enjoying their day off, lay the peaceful carrot fields. Under the shade of a tree, a single uneaten carrot remained. It turned out that Black Rabbit and Puyu had wandered away from the crowd, seeking a quiet spot to enjoy their meal in peace. "Did it suit your taste, Princess?" Puyu's eyes curled into crescent moons as she smiled. "Yes, it's been so long since I last had a carrot. Compared to the ones I ate as a child in the kingdom, this is 100 times more delicious." She let out a small sigh. "While I was escaping from greed, training under my master, and living in peace, so many others suffered. Just thinking about the rabbits still trying to restore the forgotten crops and preserve the pride of rabbits, I feel ashamed of myself." Seeing her look downcast, blaming herself, Black Rabbit immediately stood up in protest. "That's not true, Princess. You have worked hard to fight against greed and protect your people. You've been training your strength for this very reason. You were growing stronger." Piyu smiled again. "Thank you for saying that. But there are still many things I have to think about, no matter what. The truth is that I once turned my back on my people to survive. As a member of the royal family, as the Princess of the Red Ribbon Kingdom, I believe I must take responsibility, no matter what price I have to pay." She clenched her fist, but her eyes were filled with sorrow as she gazed at the sky. Her voice was filled with unwavering determination, a mixture of emotions weighed down by duty. Black Rabbit glanced at the beautiful princess, wanting to say something, but holding back. Instead, he turned his gaze toward the fields outside and began speaking. I was born on the 99th floor. Honestly, I don't know much about the Red Ribbon Kingdom, but I can feel it through my father and the other rabbits. What is it that they are longing for?" The two of them looked out at the vast carrot fields in silence. Then suddenly, Black Rabbit stood up, clenched his fists, and asked, "What is it that you are longing for, Princess?" Puyu looked at him in confusion, only to see the sunlight glimmering on his fur. "My instincts tell me that you want to return, that you must reclaim the beautiful Red Ribbon Kingdom." The conviction in Black Rabbit's voice was so strong that Puyu's eyes glistened behind her glasses. Had anyone ever spoken to her like this before? Had anyone ever described her dream as something so close, so achievable? While she was still in a daze, Black Rabbit suddenly smiled and turned to her. "So, Princess, please continue to lead us with your bright smile." Then, he knelt on one knee, looking straight into Puyu's eyes. "Here, I'm called Black Rabbit, but my real name is Biak. I heard that rabbit warriors can become knights to protect the kingdom. I want to defeat greed, reclaim the Red Ribbon Kingdom, and bring happiness to you, princess. Will you allow me to become your Black Rabbit Knight, princess? Looking into Bayek's sparkling eyes, Puyu saw faith and a future ahead. Unable to hold back, she placed her hand over his and softly replied, "Of course." The two clasped hands tightly, and Puyu felt her heart whisper, "He is my knight." Bayek! As they basked in the warmth of the sunlight, feeling their hearts pounding loudly, their faces were just about to draw closer when a big red blob suddenly popped up and spoke. "What are you two doing here?" "Wah, wah, wah!" The black rabbit leaped away like a thief caught red-handed, his face blazing red. "Kukwang? Huh? You two? How long have you been watching?" "Well, you're slow to notice." The little bear pouted, completely unaware that Puyu was just as flustered beside them. Stomping its little feet, the chick tree grumbled, "Protectant, become a knight." Kwang didn't care about what the two were doing anymore. He quickly urged Black Rabbit to hurry up. Everyone was looking for them. "What's going on?" Black Rabbit asked in confusion, then turned to the frantic-looking chick behind them. "Lots of cats, lots of wolves," the chick squawked. Kwang grabbed the chick's head and rubbed it to calm it down. "The thing is, before we can even defeat greed, the 67th floor might collapse." Before the small bear could finish speaking, the chick interrupted again. "Dangerous. Very dangerous. The locusts are in danger." That was all Black Rabbit needed to hear to know something bad was happening. He grabbed Puyu, and the two of them sprinted back to find Seijin. The moment they saw him, the young rabbit shouted, "Uncle!" "Ah, perfect timing. I was just about to take a break and discuss things." That was when Black Rabbit noticed the entire rabbit clan was busy preparing basins and bottles of water, loading them onto carts to bring to the exhausted cats lying nearby. The felines looked completely drained, as if they had just come back from a desert. Even the two silver wolves closer to them were licking at the water with grateful expressions. "What's going on?" Black Rabbit asked. Only for Elkie to cut in. "Where is Iona?" "She's busy with something else right now," Seijin replied. "If it's related to the magic tower, you can speak to Puyu." Without hesitation, the wolf turned to her. "As I mentioned to Seijin earlier, the locusts on the 67th floor have turned purple and started releasing poison. The blade green onions are withering from the toxins. We are being pushed back helplessly." Puyu's face paled as she looked at the wolf. "This is happening much faster than expected." Elkie glanced at Seijin, who listened intently as the wolf continued. "Fortunately, the detoxifying green onions seem to work against the purple locusts, so we rushed here to request urgent support." "I see," Seijin quickly grasped the situation. "So when they turned toxic, the blade green onions stopped working, but the detox green onions worked. That's a small relief. Theo, pack as many blade and detox green onions as possible into half of the cat's bags." "Got it, nah!" Theo responded firmly, immediately shifting into work mode. Seijin then turned to the rabbits. "You guys, take the stored food and distribute it to the remaining cats." A young rabbit approached Seijin, carrying his equipment, a gardening knife and a warrior axe, both wrapped in a white cloth. Taking them, he secured the weapons at his waist while asking Aileen, "Has anything unusual happened in the tower?" A notification popped up from the blue panel. "I'm checking," Aileen replied, rapidly opening multiple alerts. "That's strange. I don't see anything unusual happening." Then, suddenly, a green panel appeared right in front of her. "Aileen, what's this?" Seijin asked. The system administrator immediately alerted him. "Seijin, this is rare. It's a special mission." On the screen, a new task was displayed. Mid-level administrator quest. Prevent the extinction of the jewel frogs in Navia Swamp, 67th floor of the tower. Seijin frowned. "Isn't this the floor with the locusts?" "Yes," Aileen confirmed. Then several notifications rapidly popped up. "The tower's administrator has appointed you as a mid-level manager. You will be transported to Navia Swamp on 67th floor in 30 seconds. Choose your subordinates to accompany you." Again, another sudden decision with barely any time to think. Around him, the cats were still busy collecting food rations. Those who had finished their tasks stood by, waiting for orders. Before Seijin could decide, Aileen warned him, "This time, I really won't be able to help you. Likewise, Grandpa is in that condition, so he won't be able to help either. This situation is different from before. Those locusts, they're an external threat to the tower itself." Aileen hesitated before adding, "Even though my dragon heart has grown, just like last time, you won't be able to bring too many strong monster from the 99th floor. Are you going to be okay?" He immediately flashed a confident smile. "Aileen, I told you before, didn't I? This world is different from those that have fallen, because I am here. and the reliable crops I have grown are ready as well. So don't worry, Aileen. Trust me, Seijin, the farmer of the tower. After confidently reassuring the dragon, Theo arrived, leading the cats. Each one had their bags stuffed full of food, add green onions. Behind them, Kwang waved his staff excitedly. Dad, Kwang just ate a full meal. I can use as much strength as needed. Puyu, standing beside him, spoke urgently. Seijin, I will assist you with my magic. Black Rabbit immediately chimed in. If the princess is going, of course, I'm going too. Oh, so it wasn't out of concern for this old uncle struggling to rush down to the 67th floor. This kid was just following because the princess was going? Seijin chuckled knowingly, and a moment later, a notification popped up. Selection of subordinates complete. With Theo perched on his shoulder, Seijin declared boldly, All right, let's go, to the 67th floor. The other cats would find their own way down, and with the Wolf Clan leader present, there was nothing to worry about. As for Seijin and his group, since he was now a mid-level manager, they would be transported directly. The 30 seconds passed in a flash. A message appeared, transporting to Navia Swamp on the 67th floor. Then, their bodies transformed into streaks of blue light, shooting into the sky. When they reappeared, the surroundings were pitch black, and they were all falling. Seijin barely had time to register what was happening before he yelped. What? His entire body smashed into something below, followed by the added weight of Theo landing right on his back. Theo, being a cat, absolutely hated water. Even though his leader was already drenched, he ordered him not to let him get wet too. Seijin, Kwang, and the two rabbits surfaced, coughing. This smell, it's muddy water. No wonder it reeked of moss. Looking around, Seijin quickly realized the situation. They had landed in the middle of a swamp, surrounded by a dense, damp rainforest. If Seijin was only a little confused, Theo was so panicked. The cat had climbed up from Seijin's back onto the straw hat on his head, clinging onto it while screaming. Seijin, move carefully. I'm about to fall off, nya! Seijin got to his feet, scanning his surroundings. They needed to find cover. This place was too open, making them easy targets. All around them were widely spaced trees, offering little concealment. The water reached Kwang's belly, yet the little bear didn't seem to mind. Wherever his dad went, he followed. Unlike Black Rabbit, who immediately stood up and reached for the princess, helping her to her feet like a proper knight. The moment they stabilized, a loud snap echoed through the air. A purple locust that was half of the size of a rabbit clung to the tree trunk ahead. Ooh, uncle. The trembling in Black Rabbit's voice made Seijin want to tremble too. Slowly he turned and whispered, What is it? Meanwhile, Theo had hid behind the straw hat, his face pale as a sheet. But when Seijin turned his gaze, he realized it wasn't just one locust. Any remaining courage vanished instantly, replaced by pure terror, because dozens, no, hundreds of glowing purple eyes were locked onto them. The swamp was infested, swarming with purple locusts, packed so densely that not a single gap remained between them. Then, in an instant, the fear turned into horror, as the entire swarm took flight at once. They spiraled into the air, forming a massive purple tornado surrounding Seijin's group. Kwang is now in its size, gripping his staff tightly. They were completely encircled, trapped in the middle of a storm of locusts, each one of them responsible for the destruction of the 67th floor. And just as the tension peaked, a notification appeared. Now, find and eliminate the cause threatening the existence of the jewel frogs. Seijin and his team huddled closer within the eye of the storm. What the hell is this system talking about? He grumbled. It has to be these guys, but he'd deal with that later. The priority right now was survival. Seijin roared, All right, let's charge in, let's go. His team followed without hesitation, running straight into the swarm. The purple locusts surged toward them from the opposite direction. Weapons were drawn. Theo leaped off Seijin's hat, ready to fight. Seijin bellowed, For the